we want to talk about the Mortal Kombat movie that just released last Friday. All right, so I got a chance to watch it last night. My overall impressions, it was a good movie. It wasn't, was it a Emmy winning movie? No. Anybody that expected that is a complete fool. Let's just call a spade there. This was not going to be the overly top, severely epic movie that was Street Fighter 2 and whatnot. I'm kidding, of course. But was it a horrible movie? Absolutely not. It actually had a lot of great points in it. Without getting into too many spoilers right off the bat here, I thought that the fight scenes worked out well based on what they were doing. In terms of the art direction, it looked very beautiful in terms of in terms of the entire show. The fact that they used dialects like Japanese and Chinese instead of English for certain characters actually made a lot of sense in some respects and maybe not in others. However, and I throw this as a big however, if you were expecting this to be in line with the Mortal Kombat story like the one we're doing on stream here, it wasn't. It was very loosely based on it. I think that's the best way to put it. Very loosely based. You had fighters who had special emblems getting together to fight a tournament to take out take out Shang Tsung with his Legion of Despots coming in here trying to infiltrate and basically doing what Shao Kahn was trying to do in the last half of Mortal Kombat 9, where he's trying to invade and take over. There was a descendant of Scorpion, Cole, who ended up having the birthmark of the Mortal Kombat symbol was the ancient birthmark. It turned out that you had to get a special skill by training, and Kano gets it. For comic relief, Kano was absolutely excellent. Let's just leave that there. He was definitely a great character put there. Sonya was produced as badass. Same with Jax in the moments that he was involved in. The CGI on Jax losing his arms and the story behind it, that was CGI done right. Reptile, CGI done wrong. That's the best way to put that. Liu Kang, Kung Lao, working as cousin, basically best friends, took in together, learning together. Raiden basically didn't have anything to do with this except teleportation of the characters and bring them into this area called the Void. Other than that, using Nataro as a character, a lot of the characters that are secondary characters, they were used here. I know I mentioned this on the Twitter machine here earlier this week. I was going to give you guys 2 suggestions on how they could have improved this movie for the die-hard Mortal Kombat fan. Now, if you want to make this a better movie for a die-hard Mortal Kombat fan, what you do is you put this advertised as Mortal Kombat Remake. That's one way to do it. This here looks like you're making a story based on the information that you have, but you're twisting the facts a little bit just to fit your dialogue, which, let's face it, most movies are going to do that, especially when it comes to dealing with like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and whatnot. They're going to play around a little bit from what the rules are. And the worst thing to happen to these guys was the fact that NetherRealm had such great stories in their games like we're doing right now. The other thing I think that could have helped this out is if this was the basis of what Mortal Kombat 12 is going to be. If you could release Mortal Kombat 12 at the same time and base it off the story at the end of Mortal Kombat 11, which for stream purposes I'm not going to spoil. Personally, they needed to advertise that this was going to be a little different than what the original was. I know it might have scared a little bit of people off, but you tie it into that Mortal Kombat 11 ending where everything was going to get shifted around regardless. So if I had to rate the movie, I'd have to give it a solid 7 out of 10. If you're not trying to overthink it in here, because trust me, there are a lot of parts of this movie that if you start thinking about it too much, you're just going to lose your mind on. Like the fact that, here's one for you. Hanzo in the movie speaks pure Japanese and says he doesn't understand Chinese. Because Sub-Zero, his native tongue was Chinese. But then the most iconic line in Mortal Kombat is, "Get over here." And that's in English. Little things like that, if you're trying to overanalyze this movie, the more you overanalyze it, the more you're going to hate this movie. So, as far as I'm concerned, as long as you just remember it's a fun movie to catch and a fun movie to watch, to me, it's still worth the $27 Canadian that I paid for it. So, and I still would check it out again if somebody hadn't checked it out yet. I would go to the theater with them. Yeah, we did get a lot of the original quotes. Like, for some reason, you have guys like Kung Lao bringing out the flawless victory when he takes out Nataro. I love the fact that it was as gruesome as it was, though. But having people talk like that in their dialogues, that was meant for Shao Kahn. So little things like that. If you're trying to nitpick this movie, you could pick it apart to make it a 4 if you really want. It's a Mortal Kombat based movie, and it basically could be like an Elseworld story, like an alternate Earth. Sort of like what Injustice did with their characters. If you think of it that way, this was absolutely brilliant how they did this. And they set it up perfectly that they're going to have more coming up in the future, because they hinted at Johnny Cage at the end of it, and they also hinted at the Remnant that you've seen here in the late part of MK9 and the first part of MK10. The only difference is they use Shang Tsung to take away the bodies, and Shang Tsung ultimately admitted that death doesn't have any meaning in Mortal Kombat, which, let's face it, it doesn't. I would like to see the second part, and I do hope that they get enough of a response out of this movie that they are able to produce another one. It was a lower budget film. I just hate that they put all the CGI money into Reptile's thing, which he wasn't memorable enough to actually remember anything about him. So he was there, he had a scene, he got killed. What else can you say? In terms of the movie, like I said, I would recommend going to see it if you haven't. If you can rent it, please do. But just remember, don't take it overly serious. Because if you do, that's when you're going to start running into problems. If you just remember that it's just, it is based on Mortal Kombat. If they would have thrown that out there, they could even put a graphic right at the beginning of the movie about it to say it. I think it would have helped a lot of people. It would have got a lot of people scared to start. A lot of people get over themselves with trying to nitpick this movie apart the way they. All in all, I enjoyed this movie. 7 out of 10. Would recommend it. And